agenda, the Director for National Research, Crime Research Center, and the IG, and all the delegates. Good morning. I'm happy to be here today before you in this very important conference that we have all come to look at data and discuss crime in our country. I know I have been asked to invite the CS to speak, but allow me, CS, to just say one or two things. Because we are here to discuss crime, we must also ask ourselves whether we are here to discuss crime as an academic exercise, or we are here to discuss crime that is actual crime in our country, because perception is also an important thing. Yes. For the beautiful ladies who are in this room, there's a very big difference between telling you you are beautiful and telling you you are not ugly. Both of them mean you are good, looking good, but one is bad. There is also a difference, and I'm just saying this in very good faith, in what I think the economic recovery strategy of 2002 recognized as a psyche of how we frame things. Because since independence, we had been writing policy papers, CS, on poverty eradication. And when you do that, you start by admitting there is poverty and you want to eradicate it. But it means the same thing from what ERS said, that instead of us telling our people that we are here to eradicate poverty, why can't we tell them we are here for wealth creation? It means the same thing, more money to the country. And I think we must discuss these things of crime with that in mind, that when we start here by asking whether Wandera, you have a problem, then your mind tells you you must look for a problem, whether you had any or not, because I've asked you about your problems. And the reason I'm saying this is because there is this tendency of trying to portray this country as if it's drifting towards crime, which I disagree in total. Because today we woke up and came here. I'm sure nobody was attacked, slept soundly yesterday. Nobody was attacked. I wake up at 5 to go to the club. I find on Wangari Maathai Road, Indian women walking to their businesses that early. I find school children going to school that early. And seriously, good people, we must first start by acknowledging that we have moved a very big step towards stabilizing this country in as far as security is concerned. Then we start there and say, what can we do better so that even the small crimes that we also have, we eradicate them. And once we are there, we will start having a very legitimate conversation that is not academic. And I think we use this forum today to look at what are actually the emerging crimes, because truthfully speaking, there's a time we could not Waziri finish a month in this country without an explosion caused by Al-Shabaab somewhere. We are no longer exercising that. There are times, Waziri, we could not even have our own roads being secure. We were having children dying out of road accidents, all misfortunes that we were having. Those are things that have stopped, and we must start seriously by acknowledging that, so that we also communicate positively to our people. So I felt that it is good that as we go on this conference, we start from where we are, recognize the positive gains that we have put, and then start now scrutinizing where is it we can touch to do better. And with those few remarks, it's now my distinct pleasure to invite our CS to.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, PS. The Honorable Assistant Minister in the Ministry of Public Service in charge of gender, Madam Beatrice Elaji, the Inspector General of the National Police Service, my brother and friend Hilary Mutiambai, my colleague PS Kibicho, and I will not fail to recognize the heads of the agencies who are here. My friend Dr. Ludek Choya, the transformational leader of the Kenya School of Government, who has brought this institution this far, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi. I have to acknowledge you because you are ultimately the person I will go back to when I'm done with this. The Commissioner General of the Prison Service, my good friend Ogalo, and my colleagues from Arambe House who are here, including our Secretary in Internal Security, Mr. Wilson Njega. All of you, my brothers and sisters across the spectrum of responsibility, including the board, the director of the Crime Research Center, and officials from the Attorney General's office. It gives me great pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting us. Thank you for the work that you have done. And let me begin from the onset by saying thank you for the convening you have done, because the brain trust I see in the room with the institutions that are represented is evidence that we are having a real conversation, an evidence-driven conversation on crime in our country. And it's true, as your motto says, we are fighting crime through research, because if we don't know what we are dealing with, we will not even design sensible ways of approaching to it. So I know the work that has been done by several colleagues from the academy who are here, and therefore I am not surprised Professor Charo and the others from the University of Nairobi who have been working with us in this endeavor. And while on that, I want to thank you, Vice Chancellor, University of Nairobi, and thank all of our colleagues from the academy for continued collaboration with us. Societies that grow and do better are those that build frameworks for collaboration. The executive branch of government in and of itself cannot do much without support from those who are in the knowledge industry, as it were. Knowledge and research sites in institutions such as this one here, the Kenya School of Government, the University of Nairobi, and other universities that are involved, several non-state actors, research institutions that are here, some of them funded by international development organizations, are critical role players and partners in the work that we do. And on my own behalf and on behalf of the ministry, because the Crime Research Center is now part of our Ministry of Interior, I want to take responsibility and thank you very sincerely for your continued collaboration with us, and assure you, board and members, that we will continue to support you as you do this. This is the way to go, and this is the way we are going to strengthen our society. And I would encourage more of this. The Inspector General of Police has stepped up training of the police. For the first time in the history of our country, we begin this year to train a new cadre of graduate police officers in the form of cadets. And we want to take them to a higher level because we want them to make use of the research that is happening here in designing ways and means of approaching policing work in the country. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution has actually developed a fully-fledged training institute for prosecutors. And later this week, we are going to preside over the very first graduation ceremony out of that, which means that that coupled with the transition that the KDF has done in creating the National Defense University, we are slowly but surely building a knowledge-driven culture of supporting and buttressing the work we do in the security sector, as it were. That is the way, because crime is becoming dynamic, we ourselves must remain at the head, at the cutting edge of what happens by depending more and more on research, on information that is collected, on real data, and things that happen to be able to secure our society as we go forward. So I want to assure you wholeheartedly and from the bottom of my heart, colleagues who are here from academic institutions and research agencies, that you will find in us very worthwhile partners and committed people who will do our part very sincerely in fostering our relations, in working together with you, and in ensuring that as we keep going along, Professor Ocharo and the colleagues from the University of Nairobi, that we will surely build a systematic and institutionalized way of managing crime in our society and building a better society as we go forward. And this is the thinking behind His Excellency the President's decision to bring together the government chemist, the Crime Research Center, and now the forensic laboratory facilities of the DCI together in one Ministry of Interior, so that we are not stretching out to the government chemist to look for support. We can put these resources together. It's defeating the institutional challenges to effective delivery, because in most cases, bureaucracy is the foremost enemy of effective delivery of services to the people. So when we pull together, such as we have, the government chemist, the forensic facilities and forensic lab of the DCI, and the Crime Research Center, now add to that the resources we get through collaboration with the University of Nairobi, with several academic institutions, we can only become stronger, better, much more focused, and better informed in handling crime in our country. Now, that said, I associate myself fully with the remarks that have been made by my colleagues who spoke before me. And I want to thank you for this work. And I hope that as we go along, we are now going to develop a body of reliable statistics and knowledge that will show us the trajectories we are traveling in terms of, fighting crime in our country. Where are the new areas of crime? And what are we supposed to do about this? Let me point out something. Much as we are looking at some of these issues today, and Wandera, you outlined some of these: hate speech, intimate partner, violence, and so on. When I was at the Ministry of Education, we were also dealing with the elements of the development of radicalization and how it seeps through to educational institutions, especially the universities. And that some of our universities and institutions of learning were becoming centers of interest for radical elements that want to recruit for terrorism training outside the country. We need to look at everything across the board as we go along. We are developing our systems, and for the last 10 years, for example, one thing that this administration has done, and one thing that President Kenyatta has done, is invest very heavily in capacitating security institutions. We have changed the ratio of population to police. We have changed the capacity, in terms of equipment and resources for the security sector. We have improved through, what President Kenyatta introduced as a multi-agency framework of managing security. Information sharing and management is much better. We have improved the deployment of technology, and we are now seeing increased investment in technology to fight crime as we know it. But going into the future, we still have to tackle some of what you may call traditional challenges that we have had. This week, everyone, and that's where I'm going to start my remarks, my substantive remarks, everyone has been telling me, I've seen newspaper editorials, columnists, Macharia Gaido, and everybody telling me we must go, Matiangi must go beyond the tough talk in fighting crime, fighting the violence in the by-elections and so on in the country. I am ready to go beyond the tough talk. But look, my friends, because we are all citizens of this great country, time is here for us to have a comprehensive and candid conversation one with another. Law enforcement and fighting crime is not the responsibility of the police and the security sector institutions alone. I am not shirking. I am not running away from our responsibility. We are ready to do our part, and I can guarantee you we are absolutely ready to do our part. But we also must stop this hypocrisy with which we live as a society. We are good at this pretense. We're very pretentious people in our country. People, many of our people, and you see this even in public leadership, many of our people are just doubles. People tell you one thing, they live another. They preach wine, they drink, alcohol. The horrible pretense that you see around. The truth of the matter is this: law enforcement does not begin and end with the police. So what am I supposed to do if I'm going beyond the hard talk? Murder them or put them on before a firing squad? We are a constitutional democracy by choice. Our responsibility is to facilitate a meeting between the criminals and the law. And we've done that very effectively. The Inspector General will tell you and will give you the statistics. We have strengthened our research. In fact, in the last 3 years, and I can ask you, Wandera, to confirm this through statistics, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations has done more arrests, has been more successful in breaking cartels, especially contraband criminal cartels that are moving drugs around, than ever before, because of insisting on ensuring the law is done. What happens to these people? They are presented before a magistrate who releases them promptly on 10,000 shillings bond. Look, and challenge me on this. The cases involved in examination cheating, when I went to the Ministry of Education in 2015, some of those that we are dealing with in 2016 have not been concluded to date. Some people were involved in violence, in criminals during the 2017 general elections. The cases have not been heard to date. We are facing another election next year. We arrest these people, we take them before a magistrate, the DPP arrives there, and they are promptly released on 20,000 shillings bond. The case will be mentioned in November. And then the first hearing date is 2nd of February 2022. Then the next hearing is September 2022. And we keep doing that yo-yo, and that is why these fellows will go in there, they are released, they will go to slap more people. Yeah, you wait and see. In the next cycle of by-elections, they will be there, slapping more people, transporting goons. So, as you tell us to do our work, tell others also to do theirs. That is the point I'm saying. Let others do their job. Surely, if you are a magistrate, and I'm not questioning anyone's job, how can you release someone 7 times? Some of these people we have taken to court, we are taking them the 7th or 8th time. You are on bond 7 times. Surely, as a magistrate, if you care for your country, can you say, no, you are not the type of fellow we should release to the public. Since you don't even respect the terms of your bond, you hang out here with us. And then be with us until we hear your matter. We can mention your case in November while you are with us. And then we start hearing it in February next year while you are with us. Now instead, if you go to Makadara, the people who are there are traffic offenders who cross the yellow line. They're the ones who are languishing there. The ones who slap people, who beat up people, 10,000, they are gone. To do the same thing. Before I came here, I was telling my colleagues here, and they know of a case where an individual grabbed a gun from their bodyguard, shot someone dead in a previous by-election. The investigation was done. They were taken to court, charged for murder, promptly released on bond. In the previous by-election, they are again beating other people. And they will continue like that. That's their way of life. So I want to ask you, my brothers and sisters, the country doesn't belong to those of us in the executive branch of government alone. It belongs to all of us. Let's be sincere. And let's be honest about this. Much as you're asking us to do our part, ask others also to do their part. But we can't have a situation where you're asking Mutiambai, and it's frustrating for him. I was telling him, the police now are asked to perform the ritual. It's becoming ritualistic. We arrest these people. First of all, the law does not allow us to keep them for more than 24 hours. We arrest these people. We tell DPP the file is ready. Sometimes we have to work 24 hours. The DCI has got to work 24 hours, collect the statements from people, tells the DPP, yeah, proceed. The DPP goes to court, the magistrate releases the guy, 20,000 shillings bond, surety of the same amount, thanks, goodbye. Proceeds promptly to beat others. And we continue, it's a cycle that we are going on. So tell others also to do their work. We will do our work promptly. And you can see we have come together, all the law enforcement agencies, we will do our part. With the budget for NCIC is going to be increased. We are giving them more resources. We are supporting them. But when people say give NCIC teeth to bite, what will they bite? They are not a court of law. Because ultimately all they will do is they will present someone to court. That's all. So when you ask me to go beyond the tough talk, and then my question is, I do what? I go beyond the tough talk and do? Tell me what I should do next. And I will do it, even if there are 2, 3, 4, 5 other steps, I will do them. Of course, provided they are within the law. As it were. Let me do this. The other day, I asked and looked at the speech that was given by the late Professor George Saitoti. Just before he died, he was then the Minister for Interior. He was doing the job that I'm doing. Professor Saitoti's last speech in Mombasa was a very strong warning about electoral violence. He was concerned. We at the Ministry of Interior, usually, when we begin to the countdown to elections, we start looking and doing an analysis across the country, looking at the state of stability, preparedness, and so on. I said this last week, that this season we have been forced to start earlier than usual because campaigns have started early, people are running around early, spewing anything from their mouths, caring nothing about the country, but worried only about power. I think I have a moral duty and an obligation as the country's minister in charge of security to say this. Unless we behave differently, and this is targeted at our brothers and sisters in political practice, unless we behave differently, we are actually walking our country the wrong direction. There's a renewed level of desperation that you are not able to understand, and a renewed sense of urgency that no one is able to understand, and almost suicidal conduct from some individual, political leaders. Because when you get to a point where you actually say anything, you don't care about what's going to happen and so on. These things can and will actually hurt us if we are not very careful. There is nowhere in this country where mobilization is done by Wananchi. There is nowhere. Challenge me, give me an example of a place in Kenya where Wananchi sit down in the villages and mobilize to attack another group of people. Give me one. I am in Interior and I get these reports daily. Give me one part of the country where Wananchi do mobilization, where they mobilize each other. The mobilization, all of it is done by politicians, all of it. Walk anywhere in Kenya today. Wananchi are peaceful, going about their activities. Markets are going on well, people are working. Everywhere we get information, and two of my colleagues can bear me out here, the PS and the Inspector General. Every morning at 4 a.m., from 4 a.m. in the morning, we are already taking calls and information from our colleagues across the country. The police command, our Ngao teams and everything, from 4 to 6. By 7 o'clock, we have information virtually from every RC and every county commissioner. And the police command the same thing. There's nowhere in Kenya wananchi are mobilizing against each other. Wananchi wamejikusanya huko eti tuende tufanye namna hii, tutafute yule mwingine and so on. The people who are doing this are political leaders. They are the ones who will organize people and do all manner of things. And I want to say here publicly, the reason why they have continued to do that is because there are no consequences. Impunity is the son of no consequences. Because if there are no consequences to your actions, you will breed impunity. Because there are people who have done this over and over and over again. And nothing happens to them. There are cases there. You go down the list of the backbench of members of parliament we have and go down the list of how many of them have court cases related to this kind or the other of political activity. Then you will know what we are talking about. I will be very frank with you. Unless we all go to work. We in the security sector will go to work. And you have seen what my colleague, the Inspector General, has been doing. He has acted decisively and firmly. You have seen what our colleagues in the NCIC are doing. They have acted firmly and decisively. Our colleagues in ENCC, the DPP, all of us in the law enforcement infrastructure, we are mobilized, we want to act. But please ask others also to go to work and do their job. You cannot tell me that cases we took to court as a result of 2017 general elections and people are involved in problems, then some of those people are serving their term completely and they will go to another election. They will beat more people, slap more people, and carry on with life. So that is how we are going to resolve these issues, as it were. We will continue to invest in crime research because crime is dynamic. Criminals are not dumb people. Many of them are very smart people. In fact, we normally say we in the security sector, the race we have is to make sure that we are at the cutting edge of this. As they move, they find that we are already there and we are able to detect and disrupt crime. But now we must mobilize all of us. Social crimes, the battering of men, which you are calling in a very poetic way intimate partner violence, is a social crime, men being battered and so on. I don't know that it's because of being shy, that's why we are calling it that. It's a very patriarchal way of camouflaging the problem. But anyway, be that as it may, it's criminal. No one has a right to beat the other, whether they are men or women. But we have to build coalitions. Let us work with our faith-based organizations. And let us face the challenges of the threats to the family as an entity in our society. If there's anything the COVID experience has taught us is that our family bonds and our family structures are weak. They need to be worked on. And government will not raise your child for you. Let us be very frank with each other. Government will not raise your children for you, and government will not manage your husband for you or your wife for you. It is you. We have to be responsible enough and do our work. And then work with faith-based organizations, invest more in social, cultural development, in putting bonds of family stronger and together as we go forward. The rest that involves our work, we will do, I promise you. In my memory, I can't remember a time when we were much more mobilized, much more cohesive, and much more coordinated in the security sector like we are today, across the spectrum of responsibility. But our frustration remains the same. And I can talk about this until the cows come home. Americans arrested drug dealers from Mombasa who are used to actually walking in and out of court. And the matter has been heard, determined, and sorted out. Those drug dealers were arrested from here. And when you read some of those confidential reports, which I can't reveal because of the oath of office and so on, nothing will pain you as a patriotic Kenyan about the things they say about some of our senior officials across the branches of government. Let us not pretend, across the branches of government, judiciary as well as executive. So the question is this, we have to answer this question. Do we want to move our country forward, or want to play games around and dance around this hypocrisy about the things that we are supposed to do? For us, in the security sector, we will do our part, and that's why I've said Safari is going to be different. We will act. When these things come up, we are beyond talking, we will do our part. But please, let others also do theirs, because if they did, we'll be fine. So those of us in the executive branch, we are forced to be fighting this all the time. Fighting this and so on. Let me ask you a question. If we arrested people in 2016 in connection with cheating in exams and trying to hawk exams and so on and cheat people, to date, None of those cases has been heard and determined. In 2019, after Executive Order number 1, and my colleague P.S. Kibicho can bear me out, when we sat together after the president put together the infrastructure, we said for government projects and public sector projects, we have billions of shillings that are held because of certain judgments, certain injunctions, and so on. And we listed them all together. And we presented them to the judiciary at that time and said, you know, we're not asking you to rule against us. We're asking you to at least make a decision. Because it's better you tell me, go back and tender for the Friends Club you're building at the University of Nairobi. Then I will know I'll go and look for another contractor. At least I'll use the money. Supposed to move. The VC cannot move to build the laboratory. He can't spend the money. You have just frozen that. He cannot proceed. He can't tender. He can't do anything. The money is there. 8 months down the road, the money is there. He can't tender and get a different person. He can't build a forensic lab. So what do you expect is supposed to happen? At least rule and say, VC, you made a mistake. Go back to the market and tender again and let bring someone else. So that then we can use the money to help Kenyan kids and to move forward. If I made a mistake as executive branch, it's okay. I'll go back and redo the job all over again. But if you tell me stop, then you don't say anything. And there is a question of making trips to court every day. You know, I arrive there, you tell me, oh, it will be hard on 15th of November. I come on 15th of November. You listen to for 30 minutes and say, okay, fine. Now this one, we'll listen to it on 2nd of March, 2022. Then we go forward. Is the country benefiting? Who actually is benefiting from that kind of behavior? Who is benefiting? And the reason why, as I told you, impunity is a son of no consequences. There are no consequences. So you carry on. You slap people around, you beat people, you run guns around, you hire goons, they go beat people, disrupt everything. Mutiambai arrests you. Because his job is to make sure you meet with the law, takes you there. You are released on 20,000 bond and a surety of the same amount. You go right back to beat more people. Then you tell me to go beyond hard talk and do what? I wish you all the best, and I want to assure you, colleagues, let's do the best we can for our country. For us, we'll put the information together, and I can almost swear to you, we will go the way you advise us. Because you will not go wrong when you are evidence-led and evidence-driven. So, my colleagues from the academy who are here, your research is not going to gather dust. The work that you do, we will use it. And please, let us break new grounds. I am now even interested in how we can look at our correctional service system and deal with the headaches that Ogalo has of what you may call intra-institutional crime. When we have brought these people into the correctional service system, some of them develop new criminal networks and they begin new arrangements. A good percentage of some of the terrorist challenges we have actually, and recruitment thrives and develops internally in these institutions. It's a new phenomenon that we are dealing with. And Ogalo knows this. Advise us, and we will work with you as you research, and you share data with us on how we deal with some of this. All this is geared towards making our country better. And God bless you. Thank you. And I think the PS told me not to forget to say that with those many remarks, I declare the conference open.
Thank you. Chief guest and ladies and gentlemen,